chilling in the garden by the fruit tree. Wind through the hillside is waving at me. It's waving at me. Waving at me. Take some time and watch your world align. If you forget your cares, then you'll feel just fine. Swimming in the river, feeling carefree. Birds on the water are singing for me. They're singing for me. Singing for me. Life is sweet if you allow it to just be. Playing in the moonlight, feeling divine. Stars in the night sky are
heart. One is a maybe. Oh, how about this? Is that better? Good. No popping there. So good to have everybody here today. I have an announcement that we have a new musician with us today. Her name is Helen Mead. She's a world traveler, guitarist, vocalist, blues, jazz, country, and folk groups, including the Heartbeats. And now she's playing solo and duo in Napa and Sonoma counties for the past 2 decades.
Four.
And it's past 4 decades. We got to update this, right? I do that all the time.
That was a typo.
Yeah, it's actually been 40 years. Yeah. And she started early. It was in 9th grade that she had an all-girls band called the Sonels.
Sonels.
Okay. That was a hit at school dances, the Rotary Club, and the county fair. And she spent some time in Europe. And then when she came back for a short visit in Williamsburg, Virginia, she got married, took voice and guitar lessons, and stayed there for 4 years while performing as a troubadour. And then she went to Europe again, lived in London, and sang and played guitar at pubs and wine bars. And now she returned to California and with us today. Let's please welcome Helen.
Thank you. Thank you. Boy, we all look like cousins, all the blonde hair. Well, yeah. Well, I've got it too. Yeah. I take it that was my cue to start.
Here, no. Okay, we'll still do the same thing here.
Yeah.
So the problem is you can hear me in the room, but they can't hear us online. So we're going to keep going with this microphone here. So wonderful to have you here with us. You sounded so wonderful at Unbottled. It's so great to have you here on a Sunday morning. And I'm thinking that maybe these are songs you're singing today might be different than the ones you sang in the pubs in London, but who knows? Right, right, right.
Yeah.
All right.
I like it all. I even like a little rap, I mean.
Yeah, there you go.
Because it's poetry, right?
Yes, it is poetry.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay, thank
Well,
you.
good to have everybody here today. We like to start our service with the vision and mission. So if you'll look on your screen from your home laptop or television or here in the sanctuary, as we say, we are an inclusive community for spiritual growth and compassionate action. And our mission statement, we are co-creating a world that works for everyone by living intentionally, loving unconditionally, and seeing God in all people and all faiths. A glorious affirmation for this on this first day of fall. How about that? From 5:43 this morning or something like that. So beautiful to have everybody here today. A few announcements before we begin the sacred part of our service. The first one is that we started the Fully Awake and Truly Alive class, but you can still start it in the second week, but this will definitely be the last time. But if you're interested in that, feel free to join us for that. And you can register online. It's still on there, or see me after the services, and I'll be glad to help you with that registration. And then also next Sunday, Bodie, our musician, is going to do a sound oasis, a soundscape oasis. And if you've never been a part of his sound experiences, they're really quite amazing. He uses a variety of instruments and to create just this beautiful consciousness and harmony that you feel within that's just brought to you. So it's quite beautiful. So I hope you are able to make it. What's also you can sit in a chair or lay down, either one. And it'll start at 1 o'clock, so that it gives you time to get some lunch and come back and feel ready for the experience that is there. So you can register online or at the door, either one. That'll be just a week from today here in the sanctuary. And then also that same day, there's another thing, and unfortunately the two times do conflict. So I haven't promoted this a lot because I knew that the soundscape experience had been planned longer than this event. But it's still an important event that we can hold in prayer, if nothing else. It's called the Napa Day Against Hate. And actually the city and the state, city of Napa and the state of California and Napa County are all involved in this process of declaring a day against hate, to stand up against hateful remarks. And it's going to be at Westwood Hills, that's on Browns Valley Road, starting at 2 p.m. And there's going to be speakers and a choir and an optional walk. You don't have to be a part of the walk if you don't want to, but an optional walk that's going to be there at Westwood Hills. But I think it's important, just like we have our Pro-Inclusion Napa and several other nonprofits that are standing up against racist and Semitic comments. So it's important to say that, or anti-Semitic. And then also we have Spanish-speaking services that if you're interested in it, or know somebody who might be, there's information online about it on our website. And finally, into October, that Astra Fox, one of our other musicians, and I are going to do a workshop together. And this is a great way. She has a whole business about creating mantras for you, your personal mantras. But this is a chance to be part of a workshop where you can do that and create mantras for yourself in order to create something you want in your life. It's going to be part of our prosperity series, so some of it's going to be around creating abundance, but you can use it to create anything you want in your life. But it's kind of a fun way to do it. We always say that a song is a prayer sung twice, or a prayer prayed twice. And so it's a great way to do that. So I hope you leave some room on October 13th right after the service. And then I wanted to also let you know that there are volunteer opportunities available at our center. We, as you know, you come out on Sundays and have delightful coffee and snacks. Well, that they didn't just magically appear while we were praying in here. So if we would invite you to be part of bringing food once a month is all you have to bring it, and so we can enjoy our fellowship together. And also, we have room for, I think we're doing okay on ushers now, but we have room for people that might work in our tech, our production crew, as well as different kinds of maintenance and different kinds of projects we have here. So you can go to the welcome table after the service and sign up for either hospitality or other things. Then our ongoing events, meditation on Wednesday, and other things that are on our website. Please know that we love to pray for you. It's our honor, the practitioner's eye, to pray for you either after the service with a one-on-one personal prayer treatment, or in the lobby there are forms, or online you can sign up for a prayer. And we're glad on Tuesdays the practitioner's eye meet together and really hold these prayers for you. So we invite you to do that. So now we will begin the sacred part of our service with our meditation song.
Make me a channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, bring your love. Where there is injury, your pardon, Lord. And where there's doubt, true faith in you. Make me a channel of your peace. Where there's despair in life, let me bring hope. There is darkness, only light. Where there's sadness, ever joy. Master, grant that I may never seek so much to be consoled as to console, to understand as to be understood, to be loved as to love with all my soul. Make me a channel of your peace. There's despair in life, let me bring hope. There is darkness, only light. And where there's sadness, ever joy.
Make me a channel of your peace. What a wonderful sentiment. Let us just resonate with that. Let us just be open here in this moment, being that channel of peace and allowing Spirit to come into our hearts, feeling that feeling. Let's just take a breath and sit with that feeling for a moment. Thank you, Erica. We just come back into ourselves, into this moment, and think about what it means to be truly awake and really alive. Wait. Fully awake and truly alive, because that is our theme for the month. And for me, it has a very special meaning because 7 months ago, I almost died. And I'm not saying that to be dramatic. I'm saying that for me, the last 7 months have been an amazing wake-up call. That I passed out in the ER and woke up with tubes and wires hooked to me. And the journey from that place where I was to last weekend, where I was up on stage singing with my band, just having the most wonderful, energetic, alive, and awake moment that I could possibly think of. And I'm just so grateful that I'm here today to be able to talk to you about this experience. To borrow the title from my very good friend Dawn's podcast, I became a hero of circumstance instead of a victim. You know, we're all on a hero's journey, but we're not alone. We don't walk that path alone. And as a practitioner, probably the most frequent question that I get is, what did I do to attract this condition to me? And I can really relate to that because I ask myself that question a lot. What did I do? What could I have done differently? How could I have, I said my prayers, I did my affirmations, and yet, where is my world peace? Right? But the truth is, we are all co-creating our existence together, and in what Ernest Holmes calls the race consciousness and our subconscious, is the collection of thoughts and experiences from everywhere, everyone, and everything. So, we are going through this experience together. And I like to use the metaphor of the garden. And since we're talking about harvest and the equinox, it is a perfect idea that we can think about. I can plant the most beautiful garden, but that intention does not prevent me from having to pull the weeds. So, you can curse the weeds, you can spray poison everywhere, and maybe blame the neighbor for letting the weeds go to seed and leaving them for you to deal with, or maybe you can just pluck the weeds, put them on the compost pile, bless them, knowing that, the circle of life, the energy that is driving you to distraction, that is messing with your inner peace, is something that you can deal with inside of yourself. Peace is an inside job. Finding peace means sometimes letting go, blessing the weeds, and enjoying that process. Now, of course, it's not always that simple, which is why we have this community. And our vision of a world that works for everyone, we can hold that vision, and we can go within and be at peace. So I'd like to, our affirmation for this week is that we imagine and manifest a world living as one. And the affirmation is, I imagine the world living peacefully as one. So if you all would like to say that with me 3 times. I imagine the world living peacefully as one. I imagine the world living peacefully as one. I imagine the world living peacefully as one. Thank you.
This song was written by Sister Rosetta Tharpe. She influenced people like Chuck Berry with her guitar playing and was never really, rewarded for that. So I have a kind of well, anyway, here's the song. Up above my head, I hear music in the air. Up above my head, I hear music in the air. Up above my head, I hear music in the air. And I do really do believe there's joy somewhere. If you'd like to join me, you can echo me. Up above my head, there's music in the air. Up above my head, there's music in the air. Up above my head, there's some music in the air. And I really do believe there's joy somewhere. Very nice. In my room, music everywhere. All in my home, there's music in the air. Above my head, there's some music in the air. And I really do believe there's joy somewhere. All in my heart, there's music everywhere. All in my heart, there's music in the air. All in my soul, there's music in the air. And I really do believe there's joy somewhere. Up above my head, there's music in the air. Up above my head, there's music in the air. Up above my head, there's music in the air. And I really do believe there's joy. Thank you. Let's take it on the road. Thank you.
Off here. Thank you, Helen. That was beautiful. It was actually, I think we got into that pub atmosphere. Everybody singing along, so that was good. Lovely, lovely. Thanks for engaging in us. We are a group that loves to sing, so that's wonderful. So it's so good to have everybody here today. As part of this month that we talk about being fully alive and truly awake, that opens us up to this deeper connection we have in life. And what's interesting is this time of the year, so today is the equinox, and Friday was our celebration of the equinox. And what we know is that we can find kind of a balance, a natural balance that happens around the equinox. A natural harmony that is. But it doesn't have to be on the exact day. It can be a portal, so to speak. A few days before the equinox, a few days after the equinox. So on Friday we did a ritual, and another thing what I know is about when we do rituals, when we gather together to celebrate an earth-based ritual like that, there's something that we commune with the earth and grounding in that and celebrating and connecting in this way that really makes a difference. Just going to take that out of there. Okay. That really makes a difference in our feeling connected. You know, indigenous people would do these kind of rituals and actually live in a way that they were always connected with the earth. And we, city folks, among concrete and asphalt, lose that connection, that harmony, that natural sense beyond our five senses, but an intuitive sense. So to spend time around an equinox or a solstice, that happens a few days before and a few days after. And you know, astronomically, an equinox is when there's this balance because of the sun's position between the time of the day, of daylight, and the time of dark, of nighttime. And actually, here in Napa County and the surrounding counties, that perfect balance of 12 hours a day and 12 hours of night doesn't happen until Wednesday, the 25th. It happens at some point, different times at different places, but for us it's Wednesday, so that's why it's a portal. The ancients, particularly in Northern Europe, would construct rock formations like Stonehenge that would cast the sunlight in a certain way, and they would measure when it was the solstice or the equinox. And so they didn't know. They didn't know at 5:43 this morning was the exact equinox. Plus it was in the dark. They couldn't see a cast of the sun upon anything. But they knew intuitively and with their abilities to measure the sun's progress when these times were. And so it is with us with this intuitive nature a few days before and a few days after that we connect with this sense of harmony and peace and bring that into ourselves to experience that. And what we also know in this time of this theme about fully awake and truly alive is that this makes us more alive and more awake. And by the way, it doesn't matter which way you say it. You could be fully alive or fully awake. It doesn't matter. It's all the same, right? What I know is that our experiences are a reflection of our thoughts and feelings. Right? So if we know that when we experience peace within us and harmony, that is a higher vibration right now because of the equinox, then we can begin to know that truth in our outer life. And as a community, we can resonate. As individuals, we can resonate and not only create that peace in our lives, but the peace around us and even have an effect in the world as a whole. We also know that when we change our perceptions, when we invite this peace, when we maybe can't find it and invite a universal presence to help us find this, discover this, to reveal it in ourselves, when we have this shift in our consciousness, that changes our environment, that changes and create new ways of being. So we ask ourselves, what is it that we're seeking? What do we want to open up? What do we want to create in the world? I lived in Hawaii for a year, which was a wonderful year. It didn't work out for me to stay there any longer, but my family and I were there. And there's a naturalness around the peace and harmony. I was on the Big Island. It's a quite amazing place to be. If you've never been, I really encourage you to go at some point. But especially around the equinoxes. It was pretty amazing. I remember one spring equinox, I was out swimming in the water out beyond the break, and I was just floating in the water and just had a mystical experience of feeling the oneness in all of life and feeling this balance and harmony in the water. And sometimes I think of that I anchor that in my body, that when I'm in meditation, it's that feeling I had then, because it's like, you know, there's some, I mean, there were still waves on the ocean, but it seemed like the whole ocean stilled for a minute. And that's inside, I can have that experience of no matter what chaos there's gone in my life, that it settles down. You can imagine silt dropping to the bottom of a pond, or the surface becoming still, and we can feel that peace. And from that place, we can imagine peace. We can imagine peace. We know peace within us, and we can imagine it in our experiences. And that's what today's message is titled, is Imagine Peace. In the late 1800s and to the mid-1900s, there was a woman named Emma Curtis Hopkins, and she taught both Charles and Myrtle Fillmore and Ernest Holmes, the Fillmores that started Unity and Ernest Holmes that started Centers for Spiritual Living. And that's so they had a common teaching, and the common teaching was talking about that that our experiences are an out-picturing of our thoughts, an out-picturing of our consciousness. In the 40s, Emmett Fox, an author who many people read in different traditions, including AA, reads quite a bit of Emmett Fox. He coined the term mental equivalent. Mental equivalent. So what this is suggesting is what we experience inside, there's an equivalence of it in our world. There's an equality to it. What we think and what we say, what we experience inside, that it's equivalent to it. Now, Louise Hay in the 60s also coined the term correspondence. And I like that correspondence a lot. I like that word because I know that there is a connection between us and what we experience within us. If there's a peace, we can experience that peace. But we think about, so in Emmett Fox talked about that mental equivalent. He took it from physicists and chemists and scientists, because if you remember in high school science, you were always trying to balance those equations, right? I'm sure you wondered why you had to do that at the time. But there's something that is trying to balance out the energy in science, because both sides of that equality sign were one energy transforming into another energy or using energy to create some kind of change. And we're doing that in our lives as well. I mean, Einstein said that mass is equal to energy to the speed of light squared. So he said there was a correspondence between reality, things in the world, forms, and energy, and that they're two relatable. There's energy in the material world that can be used to shift and change things. If you know any vintners, they're using these kind of equations as well as they create their wine. And we as metaphysicians, as spiritual seekers, seek to find that equality in our world. Now, I will be clear that as we are attempting to create changes in our lives, A plus B doesn't always equal C. And that's why I hesitate about the word equal, because even in the world of science and math, they use symbols that correspond, which is an equal sign with a tilde on top of it, or an arrow to talk about it's going through a process, a change. So we know there are similarities, there's an aspect of it, but the best way I think we can describe is not what it looks like or even what it sounds like, but what we experience within, what we see, feel, and hear. We know intuition can be received in many different ways, and you can visualize. Something can be visual that is intuitive. Some people hear intuition. Some people sense it in their body, and some people just know it. There's a sense of knowing. The same is true for the way we experience peace or joy or happiness within us. It might be something we see, a vision of what is to come, what Spirit is trying to express through us. It might be something we hear, but it can also be things we sense in our body, things that we know to be the truth. And we open up to this idea of what is opening and revealing itself, particularly when we are struggling with something, challenged with something, a physical challenge, a relationship challenge, a career challenge, or just a malaise we might feel, an anxiety, a sadness that doesn't really have a particular focus on it. Then we can turn within and allow Spirit to reveal in us a new way of being, a new way of experiencing life that is healthy, whole, and fabulous in all ways, something that's creative and powerful. It could be a specific solution. It could be a specific way of doing something. And it could be just a different way of being. And from that beingness, we know that manifest in our life that is. That we can imagine peace, we can create peace, and we can know this peace in all ways. And I think the most important part, Emmett Fox used the word mental equivalent. I would say it's a body, mind, heart, and soul equivalent. It's not limited to what we know in our mind, because I think although our brain, our thoughts are very valuable, they can also deceive us. We can talk ourselves into stuff. We can make stuff up that's not true. So that we need to almost have a fullness of our experience to kind of check out, to kind of check in our intuition. Is this true? Am I making this up? Often I am, by the way. I don't know about you. So kind of check that out and then allow this sense of peace to come within us and around us. So a few things to be able to create peace in our lives. The first thing is we want to be able to anchor in peace. So let's use this body we have. We are here. We are incarnated in this life, right? Let's not ignore the body. Let's actually allow it to be used for something greater. So I mentioned when I went swimming in Hawaii frequently, but that one particular time I anchored in myself a sense of peace, that I can go back to that moment and experience that. I once took a shamanic workshop, and in a meditation, I was led through a shamanic journey. I anchored in myself a sense of the other world beyond what I experienced here and now. And also when I was, and more intentionally, I was doing some work with neurolinguistic programming. And you know about our body and our somatic body that we have cellular memory. A lot of people, when they talk about cellular memory, they're talking about trauma or unpleasant things, and you try and remove those memories from your body. We know that people have had heart transplants have memories from the person whose heart they received. So we know there are cellular memories in our body. But guess what? There's also cellular memories that are positive. Just imagine smelling cookies. That puts a smile on your face, right? Well, what got that? You know, did you see you don't even have to see the cookies to experience that. Or the smell of the ocean, or to see an open meadow of flowers, a sunrise, a sunset. Just thinking about setting the time to see a sunset can bring happiness to you. So these are cellular memories. So when I started to do speaking, I'd already been a teacher, but I was in ministerial school, and I started going to different churches in Colorado to do speaking. I was a little nervous about it because I hadn't done that before. You know, I mean, here I am up here, and you guys are just staring at me like, okay, so you got anything for me today? What's up? I could have been somewhere else. What's going on here? You know? So I started doing, when I had positive experiences, what I learned from neurolinguistic programming is that we can make anchors in our body. So here, I know this sounds odd, but I would pull on my earlobe to anchor in a positive feeling about my speaking in front of other people. So that when I had that anchor in my body, before I got up and talked to people, I would just pull on my earlobe. Not from the stage, mind you, right before I got up, because that seems kind of weird to be going like this. But, if during the talk I got a little nervous or lost my place, I could just go, I could just pretend I'm rubbing my ear or something like that. But it got me to the point where I was invited to do, even before I was a minister, to do a memorial service that was a very challenging service for a teenager who took his own life. It was a difficult service to do. And there were 400 people there. Half were teenagers from this boy's high school. So obviously, I had to say the right thing, but I was amazed by just doing this before I got out there. I felt very present, connected, and I was willing to step into something uncomfortable to make sure those teens knew that they were loved and where to get help when they needed it. And this doesn't mean anything about them. I can't remember the exact words because I was flowing from Spirit. But that's an anchor. So when you have an experience, and it could be that you have an experience of outside of you that is peaceful, calm, like a sunrise, a sunset, the smell of the grapes during crush season that ferment in the fields, that's just such, So anchor in that joy, that love, and whatever it could be a nose twitch, could be an earlobe, it could be a pat on your shoulder, whatever it is. It can be very subtle, but anchor that into your body, create a cellular memory of that so it is accessible to you when you need it. When you are stepping into a time that's challenging and allows you to step into this deeper experience in that moment, in that life. I think what's important to know in terms of relationships and how we perceive other people is that as we are creating life, as we are attempting to create things, one reason why it's challenging to create is because this is a tapestry. And on the left-hand side, you can see this beautiful tapestry. On the right-hand side, you see what's on the back side of it. The many strings. And this not only represents it represents all the different people in this world, and you are but one string. And since you are one string, it's more difficult to create something because there's everybody else trying to create their life, whether passively or actively. So your intention has to be a strong string, or gather a bunch of people together, and together you are a stronger strand, or you are multiple strands to create it. But it also represents your life and the many experiences you've had and the ways that you have attempted to create this life. And sometimes you go, gosh, I've been doing this for 20, 30 years and it's not exactly where I wanted. But if you look back over time, how much you've changed, how much experiences you've had that have added to this tapestry of life, knowing that all of these experiences are creating a deeper truth in yourself. Wayne Dyer says that as I look back at the entire tapestry of my life, I can see from the perspective of the present moment that every aspect of my life was necessary and perfect. Each step eventually led to a higher place, even though these steps often felt like obstacles or painful experiences. So it could look like on the back side of a tapestry as a mess, as a confusion, as a chaos. That was all part of creating the beauty of the tapestry that we are. The notice of life, of beauty. We also know that our perception of each other is a reflection of ourselves. So we continue to know that life reflects back to us experiences, not only from our own perception, our own experiences, but we can take those experiences into us and open to a greater way in our lives. Allow it to mirror back to us. I want you to do something for me is take one or both of your hands and put it to a fist. We did this in class the other day, and I thought it was kind of a good thing to do. All right, now hold it real tight, one or both of your hands really tight, and think gratitude thoughts. Think love. Think peace. Okay, you can let go now. How'd that work? Not so good. Not so good. Now, open up your palms. Both of them this time. Now feel peace. Feel love. Feel joy. How is that different? Yeah, right? So when we're tense, when we're not open to experiences, we are not going to know this greater truth. We're not going to know fully this experience of peace, of joy, of love. So we practice peace in this way. We recognize that there are relationships in our lives and that which are, and we allow ourselves to create this peace, to notice the peace, to notice where we're not in peace. Martin Luther King, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, peace is not merely a distant goal that we seek, but a means by which we arrive at that goal. So it's not a destination, it's a means by which we arrive at this harmony and this peace. And so we practice peace. Also in the class the other day, we're talking about an author, Jane Vennard, who is, she's an interfaith minister who's done both progressive Christian and Buddhist practices. And I love the way she defines spiritual practices. So this is Jane Vennard.
I gave a workshop here at SDI entitled Spiritual Practices. Spiritual Practices, A Path to Compassion. And many times people ask me, what is a spiritual practice? How do we know what spiritual practices are? And my answer is that for me, spiritual practices are anything we do that wake us up and keep us alive and refresh our spirits, renew our souls.
Anything that wakes us up, anything that brings us alive is a spiritual practice. She goes on to say there are some practices that are on cushion and some practices that are off cushion. On cushion is obviously things like meditation, prayer, visioning, maybe AA meetings you go to or classes you go to. They're things you actively, consciously chose to do. And it's your intention to receive something out of it. But the off-cushion ones are things like spontaneously singing in the shower or just seeing a brook, a river go by and experiencing that, a sunrise, a really wonderful conversation you had with someone. Eating a food that just ends up opening up some flavor in you or some new concept and just enjoying that moment and being present in it. Those are spiritual practices also, because you're recognizing the Spirit in that situation. It's an off-cushion experience that allows us a deeper sense of knowing, a deeper sense of this harmony. Last week was 9/11, and I was thinking about Valerie Carr. I don't know if you know her or not. We talked about her a lot. Her book called See No Stranger, about revolutionary love. And I told a story last year, and it's worth retelling about right after 9/11, 23 years ago now. Just weeks after that, her uncle, Balbir Singh Sodhi, was shot to death in front of his store in Mesa because the person who shot him thought he was a Muslim and thought all Muslims were terrorists. He was in fact a Sikh, not a Muslim, but they have a practice of wearing a turban in their head. And this man, his name was Frank Rogue, who shot him, told somebody as he left his house that day, I'm going to go out and shoot some towel heads. which he did, but didn't. He was arrested, and at the sentencing to life in prison, Valerie Carr and her uncle's brother, also her uncle, just heard no regret in his voice at all. So they went out together, sometimes separately, and told this story to create people's awareness, not only about discrimination and racism, but just to create peace and love and compassion. And Valerie wrote this book about it. In 2016, on the 15th anniversary of when Sodi was shot, they realized things hadn't changed much, that there was still a lot of racism, a lot of discrimination, and even hatred, a big schism. So they got together, and Valerie asked out loud, who have we not yet loved? Who have I not yet loved? Which is a really powerful question. Is there a forgiveness that we're leaving out? Is there something that we haven't done? Is there something I haven't that I still need to do to create reconciliation? So they decided to ask if they could speak to this man, Frank Rogue, by phone to the prison, which they did. And it was the first time they'd ever spoken to him. And at first, Frank defended himself. He said, the events of 9/11 so broke me down as a man that I could not control what happened. It was hard for them to listen to, but they continued to listen instead of react. And then Frank said, I'm sorry for what happened to your brother. And her uncle spoke up going, this is the first time I'm hearing that you feel sorry. And it gave an opening for him to continue. He said, yeah, I want you to know from my heart, I'm sorry for what I did to your brother. One day when I go to heaven to be judged by God, I will ask to see your brother, and I will hug him, and I'll ask for his forgiveness. And Valerie's uncle said, what you need to know is that we've already forgiven you. That's what we do as a spiritual practice. So he also said, her uncle also said, one day when you get out of prison, we'll go together and tell this story. And Frank said, that would be good. Now, he died before that happened in prison, but that forgiveness happened. Did that make a shift around the world of something that changed, something shifted? Valerie Carr, her powerful book, has another phrase that I live by these days, because when we hit a challenge, this is a great question to ask, who have I not yet loved? But also when there's another person we don't know, a stranger or a person we're challenged with, we simply say, you are a part of me. So, because we're all one, right? You are a part of me that I do not know yet. Even if it's somebody we know, there's a part of them we're curious about it, to ask, not, why do you think that? It's like, what's going on? How are you doing? And really, they are part of us that we do not know yet. And when we're able to do that, when we're able to find this way within ourselves, any kind of division with us, any kind of division between other people, we're coming together as one. And then we can be this peace. We can open up to a greater life, to this tapestry of life, and open up to this. We also know that as a group, a power of group consciousness, when we know peace, we have greater power in that we become multiple threads in that tapestry of creating this. So with the topic today being Imagine Peace, I wanted to invite Helen up to sing an obvious song for today. And as you hear her sing this song, you're going to be tempted to sing really loud and really strong because it's such a familiar song to you, perhaps. But instead, I want you to sing it quietly to yourself and imagine peace within you, to make it a sacred experience as you hear her sing it.
by John Lennon. There's no hell. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. You imagine there's no country. Isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possession. Wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of men. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one.
Knowing this peace within us, we can imagine it, we can be it, we are this peace, and we know it makes a difference in the world. In the words of Ernest Holmes, I know there is but one mind, which is the mind of God, in which all people live and move and have their being. I know there is a divine presence for humanity, and within this pattern there is infinite harmony and peace, cooperation, unity, and mutual helpfulness. We can imagine this world as peace, as love. And it is already, and so it is.
You may say
You can sing louder
I'm
now.
a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one.
Thank you, Helen, and thank you all for knowing this truth. This time in our service when we invite you to be part of the law of circulation, if our ushers could come forward. What I know is that which you give of your time, talent, and treasure comes back to you tenfold. It opens up your heart. It releases this into this as you're open to receive a greater truth of who you are. So whether you're giving today or representation of a giving in the past or what you'll do in the future, if you put your hand over your heart and repeat the affirmation that's on the screen. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I receive, and all that I circulate, and so it is.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day and the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands. They say, how do you do? They really saying, I love you. I see baby, hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
A wonderful world it is. Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful song. This is a time in our service when we acknowledge anybody who might be here for the first time today. We just like to give you a gift and also acknowledge you and bless you in being. So if you're willing to raise your hand, we have a gift for you. So thank you for being with us today. We have coffee and snacks outside. And also, as I invite practitioners up, I wanted to remind you that you can stay for prayer after the service if you so wish. And we just invite everybody else to step out into the courtyard. So we raise our hands with a blessing for our new people. We say, we bless you today, knowing that the peace and happiness you seek is also seeking you. We honor your inner radiance as you let your light shine in the world. We are grateful for your presence in our community, and so it is. Thank you for being a part of this as well. So we have no children today, I don't think. Nope. So we bless them wherever they are. And we stand for our community affirmation. Repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. I'm led by Spirit. I'm guided by wisdom. I'm protected by love. I'm here to be a blessing. I am so grateful. And so it is. And now we thought our old closing song would be good, Let There Be Peace on Earth.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our power, famine all are we. Let me walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be the surrender to Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
So as we go forward, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with us. Have a great Sunday.